necessarily get the handout from being sent out electronically. If you'd like one of the handouts today, I will give you one. Anybody need one? Most of you should have got it electronically, but if
the one
not.
on Esther?
Yes.
Esther?
Esther, yes. I said pastor, I was like, what? All right, so a couple of things really quick about our readings, then we're going to get into the book of Esther. The word katat that they translate sin or sin offering, the word katat can also mean purification. So you have to be careful because just because it says sin, it can also mean sin offering. So be cautious of that, yes.
Esther's name is actually Hadassah.
Correct. That's her Hebrew name. You're absolutely right. She's one of many individuals in the Hebrew Scripture that has dual names. Like Solomon's name was Jedediah. Esther is her Persian name. Hadassah, her Hebrew name. We have a number of people that have this dual identity or dual names. So a number of individuals within the Hebrew Scripture. Shimon, Petros, okay, Shaul, Paulos. So yeah, we have a number that do that. Very good catch. We'll come back to that as well. We're coming to the book of Esther in just a moment. But I'm glad you're engaged. The other thing is this, that you'll notice in the apostolic text that the disciples at times just don't seem to get it. Let me show you another example of this that goes parallel with what we just read. This is in Luke chapter 18. Luke chapter 18, I'm picking up the reading in verse 31. Now watch this. This is speaking of Yeshua. It says, he took the 12 aside and said to them, behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and all things that are written by the prophets concerning the Son of Man will be accomplished. For he will be delivered to the Gentiles, and will be mocked and insulted and spit upon. They will scourge and kill him, and the third day he will rise again. Verse 34, listen to this. But they understood none of these things. This saying was hidden from them, and they did not know the things which were spoken. He pulls them aside and says, hey guys, I'm going to go up to Jerusalem. I'm going to be scourged. It's going to be rough. It's going to be brutal. Things are going to happen. I'm going to die. I'm going to rise in 3 days. And they just looked at him and went, okay.
Like Christian at the Russian church.
Yeah, like the Russians when Christian teaches. They're all bobbleheads.
Only the Russians?
Only the Russians. So it's one of those things that the disciples didn't get it until after, and then they got together and they said, now, what did he teach about this? What did he say about that? And they kind of then pieced it together and were able to put it together afterwards. But it seems like that much of the time when he's here, they just don't get it. They just part of it, there's this blindness that happens. But at other parts of it just seemed like, for whatever reason, it just didn't register. All right. So that's just two comments on one on our Torah portion. This is why you have I think it's 2 Corinthians 5:21. Listen to this. This is why the word katat is important. Here's a Levitical term being used about Yeshua. He who knew no sin, and then the translations say, he who knew no sin became sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God. But it actually should be this way. He who knew no sin became a sin offering for us, that we might become the righteousness of God. So it's this idea of a sin offering. So sometimes katat can mean purification, and sometimes it can mean purification offering. You've got to be careful. Okay, so when we're going through this, as we get back to Leviticus, I'll guide you through that. Now, I want to mention a book for those of you that are interested in books and that like to read. I always like to do this. This is the book called The Dawn, and the subtitle is Political Teachings of the book of Esther. I really like this book. So much in here that I think relates to current events and future events. It's called The Dawn, D-A-W-N, by Yoram, Y-O-R-A-M Hazoni. The subtitle is The Political Teachings of the Book of Esther. Great read. Really easy read, but I tell you what, it's insightful on...
Would you hold it still for a second? Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You said a second.
Thank you.
All right. The Dawn by a man named Yoram Hazoni, The Political Teachings of the Book of Esther. You'll love this read, I tell you. Very, very insightful on what's going on in the Book of Esther. All right. Yoram Hazoni, H-A-Z-O-N-Y. All right, now, this is your chance to participate. Tell me some reasons, before we get into the teaching proper, tell me some reasons why the Book of Esther was not particularly liked amongst Orthodox and Rabbinic Judaism. What were some of their issues? We'll start with Emery.
Doesn't mention God.
Doesn't mention God. Although, we'll say this, you're right. In the Masoretic text now, in the one version, in the main version of the Masoretic text, doesn't mention God. What's interesting is, in the Old Greek version and in the Alpha text of Esther, which we read the Alpha text on Wednesday, God is everywhere. In fact, places where you wouldn't expect him, it says that God took sleep from the king that night. So his insomnia was brought on because God took it from him. And then when Haman is begging Esther for his life, it says that an angel pushed Haman onto Esther. So that when the king comes back in, he sees Esther fallen at the foot of the queen, but it's an angel that pushes Haman. So and Haman, Mordecai is having dreams and visions, and they're praying and they're mentioning God all over the place in the Alpha text and in the Old Greek, but not in the Masoretic text, not anywhere to be found. Talk about that a little bit later. Other reasons, yes.
She married a pagan king.
Yeah, Esther marries a pagan king. What's a good Jewish girl doing in the? What's she doing in the harem of a pagan king? Yeah. You kind of go, it's bothersome. All right.
Well, about the Jews that remained when they could have gone back home.
Yeah, another issue. The diaspora Jews, they had the opportunity to go back to Israel, and they stayed in Persia. Let's think about this, though, for a second. Up until just recent years, the numbers have equaled out, with now 8 million Jews in the land of Israel and 8 million dispersed worldwide still. But you guys got to understand that for the majority of time of our lifetimes, and everything prior to this, the majority of Jews did live in the land of Israel. Not even half. It wasn't even close to half. Why? Well, they kind of got successful other places. They had businesses, and they were making good money. And if you go back and look from 1850 to 1950 of Israel, under the British Mandate, the land of Israel was not a great place to be. It was desolate. It was not a place that you could really thrive. So many of them said, let's see, success in America, education, money, houses, land, or go be a repatriate in some other place where I've got to really work hard? Nah.
I think that's why a lot of them said, "Oh, just give a little bit of money."
Yeah, they did. In fact, it was interesting. In 1973, maybe a little bit before that, Golda Meir comes to the United States and she does a tour of the U.S. and she's able to, in a sense, being a good Jewish mother, to guilt a lot of Jews living in America who were successful to give serious money for Israel, for the war effort.
I remember when she came. I remember that.
Yeah, she came here and she's like, you should write a check. If you're not going to come, write a check. Put another zero on it. If you're not going to come back, and you're not going to come back and support us, at least support us with your money. And a lot of them said, sure, man, if that's what all it takes, great. How, fine. Here's the money. Because I don't want to come back. but I'm doing really good here. All right. Yeah, so she did this U.S. tour and raked in all kinds of money because people said, yeah, I feel bad that we didn't go back, and we probably should have repatriated, but yeah, not really. So here's a $1,000 check, here's $2,000. If that'll pacify, then all right. What other reasons why they didn't like Esther? Yes?
The way that it was written was not reflective of the time, I think. The verbiage and stuff wasn't the same as, like, say, some of the other books of the time.
Yeah, okay. Give me a little bit more on that. I want to hear more.
Like when they said, like, it doesn't mention God.
Right.
So there's just the verbiage was different from all the other books
Okay.
that we have.
All right. Yeah, a lot to that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Could it be anything about the pressure that Esther was under and that the glory she would be kind of getting because of what she did? That was not for the guy.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. So the hero of the book, the heroine of the book was
Yeah, it was her. Yeah.
okay. So some misogyny from the rabbis? Nah. That could never happen. No, yeah, there's probably some misogyny, so that the rabbis didn't like the fact that a woman was.
They probably wouldn't say it was a woman. They would just say that it went to a person, not to God.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's how you cloak it.
Yes.
We don't like the fact that God's not getting as much glory as Esther is. Yes.
Up until World War I, Ottoman Empire, Muslims controlled the Holy Land.
Yes.
After World War I, it was in total turmoil.
Yes, it was. Actually, the Ottoman Turks, then it was left kind of nebulous, and then the British Mandate. So,
Not exactly the atmosphere you moved to.
yeah, it wasn't actually a great. There was a lot of turmoil. There was a lot of turmoil. So you can see why a lot of Jewish people said, "Nah, look, if there's going to be a lot of strife, I'll just stay
Well,
here."
they've also been, we're so used to living in another environment.
Yeah.
That it would be really very, they could have done it, it's just that, how realistic is that?
It's very difficult.
Your family that's used to one way of living.
Right.
To another culture.
It's very, very difficult. Now, here's another thing. Here's another thing they didn't like. They didn't like the fact that Esther, who's a rabbi, mind you, created another festival. They were like, really? God gave us the ones we were supposed to have in the Torah. If He wanted us to have another one,
He was
He would've made it,
from Mount Sinai.
that's where it would have been. Now they're telling us the month of Adar we have to have another festival. Which, by the way, they make it happy when we had the revolt in 167, and we had Hanukkah. They were like, another festival? Like, okay. So anytime the festivals were added, they kind of balked a little bit. So, any others? All right, take your notes. Anybody else? All right.
It's kind of like Mordecai telling Esther to just pretend that you're not a Jew.
Yes, that's another thing that they didn't like. The hiddenness of Mordecai telling Esther, hey, you know what, just keep your whole Jewishness to yourself. If anybody asks, defer, or put that off. And by the way, so much so that you're going to be Esther, not Hadassah. You're not to tell anybody that you're Jewish. Many of them had a problem with that you would not openly be who you were. Okay? So yeah, that's another issue that comes into play. Is like, why are you hiding your identity? Be loud and proud. I'm a Jew. You shouldn't have to be ashamed or have to be skulk around and hide. Not that she had to, but just don't tell anybody. So that became an issue as well. Yeah, good point. Very good point. There's a lot of these things. Now, if you take the conglomerate of these, you can see why. If you put all these together, let's see, we've got a woman. The woman is the heroine. This is a woman who's hiding her Jewish identity. Another festival. No mention of God. They're diaspora Jews she's marrying a pagan Gentile. These are diaspora Jews who don't come back. you know what, scrap this book. Just scrap it, okay? But you can see how that kind of sentiment had some momentum behind it.
Okay. You mentioned this on Wednesday that there are no ancient examples of Esther anywhere.
We don't have any mention of Esther in the Dead Sea Scrolls. We have found fragments of every book of the Bible, with exception of Esther, and we don't have any mention of Esther in the Apostolic Scriptures.
Is it possible that this was written as a teaching tool to? It may not have been, even though it's got historical significance, historical background, it's actual.
Clearly, here's what you had. You had groups of Jewish people who didn't like the first version. And so, you read the old Greek text of Esther, and you read the Alpha text, which are Greek translations, mind you, but they're the same time period as the Septuagint. You read those, and they are extremely different. It's a completely different theological read.
In what way?
Including God and everything.
Well, they're including God. Mordecai has a vision about what's going to happen. Esther and Mordecai have dreams. They're mentioning God all over the place. Angels are pushing Haman. God is taking sleep. Things that are not credited to God whatsoever in the Hebrew text. Both the Greek versions, they're saying God is everywhere.